here is the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. His name is Kevin Brady. And, this is a problem because there was a lot of talk about cutting, and I think now President Trump used to talk about how disgusting it was, carried interest. Watch out for that carried interest. You guys, you hedge funders. Carried interest, hedge funders, what they do is they start a little business where they go around to all the wealthy people they know. And they say, hey, put your money in my fund. I will get you 10% returns every year, let's say. We're going to do a fund where we invest in medical stuff or some other thing, and trust me, and I'll get you 10% returns. And the way you'll pay me is you're going to give me 2% of what you put into the fund. And then I get 20% of your net profits. I think they call it 220. I think that's what it is. And on that 20% profits that you get, we're going to pretend like that's my money that I invested, and we're going to pretend like we're investing it in something that's actually going to create something rather than it's just a bet. And therefore, that 20% of your profits that I get and put in my pocket, that's not you paying me. That's me investing with your money. And therefore, I'm subject only to capital gains taxes on it, and I save 20 percentage points on my taxes. So this is just a fraud, right? I mean, even if you believed in the idea of we should treat money differently than work in terms of how we tax it. We should favor you already having money and get a lower tax rate because of that. Because theoretically, you're investing in machinery that is going to give somebody a job and whatnot. Even if we were to believe this, the idea that this applies in this situation is simply a joke. It's a joke. Donald Trump got some points on the campaign trail by talking about how much of a joke it was. And here is Kevin Brady. They've just done this massive tax overhaul. Where are we gonna find cuts in there? We're gonna roll back taxes on some people. We're gonna roll back some of these loopholes so that we can fund these taxes for wealthy people. But the thing is, if you're trying to roll back loopholes to fund tax cuts for wealthy people, of course you can't take the loopholes away from the wealthy people.
The president during the campaign said, quote, we're getting rid of carried interest. He said hedge fund managers are getting away with murder. This was one of his campaign pledges, to get rid of carried interest. It's still in there. I know you've extended the period that those have to be held by hedge fund managers to 3 years. But the truth, as you know, is that hedge fund managers and private equity hold things for much longer than 3 years anyway. So why is carried interest still in this bill? What's the benefit to the American people?
Yeah, so I think this is the perfect issue, the disconnect between Washington and New York and the American people. Look, that average family making $73,000 a year, I mean, both blue-collar workers will see a tax cut of $2,059 in this tax bill. And for the first time, we're actually going to be competitive 31 years worldwide. That's what Americans are really focused on. Look, carried interest, we can talk about that for the next hour if you'd like. But for most Americans, they could care less about that. They care about their paychecks and getting the economy going. And frankly, you know, I've got a college son as well, about making sure they have a good paying job when they're done with.
Yeah. In other words, Willie, let me make this clear. We have thrown up a little bit of dust in the form of a couple extra bucks in the paychecks that is going to last 5 or 6 years. Then it's going to fade away, so that we can continue to provide that murder, like the president called it. And we could talk an hour for about murder, but as long as other people aren't getting murdered.
Doesn't the unpopularity of this bill show that maybe they do care a little bit more about that, the fact that like corporations and the wealthy are making a killing out of this despite this piddling amounts that they're going to save?
That's pretty funny, Matt. How's your Brooklyn apartment doing in New York?
It kind of puts the lie to the idea that they don't think people should get money for not working, right?
Oh,
because,
well. Well,
Rich people are allowed to have as much passive income as they want, but when poor people need money for social reproduction, it's like, go fuck yourselves.
right.
Social what?
Little lazy.
Yeah,
little
anyways,
lazy.
your
little,
future child's going to be
little
grinded
lazy.
up into a health nutrition supplement, young lady. I think what I also love, though, about the New York game that they're playing is that New York has by far one of the highest concentrations of people in the country that actually is like, on one hand, it's like, yeah, New York, what do you know? And then on the other hand, it's like, this city is one of the only places in the world that has some concentration of people that will, in fact, benefit from this.
I would
Namely,
say
like
probably something
the
like,
highest.
I don't know, 60% of people
Yeah.
who take advantage of the carried is from
there-
New York.
Well, yeah, and then there's
or
and
the
Connecticut.
tri-state area.
Yeah, I'm thinking because I'm being super literal here,
Right.
so I'm going to give them Connecticut, New Jersey, a couple of oil barons in
That's
Texas.
very, very New York of you to point out that there's a lot of people in New York getting away with murder off this. So New York. So Washington, New York, San
That could lead
Francisco.
to some good, funny behind, like fundraiser humor, just like you New Yorkers, you're literally getting away with murder.
Calling from. Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos